Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I pray you're all well. Okay, let's resume our look at Surah Al-Ma'idah, Al-Fatiha. Alhamdulillah. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وامنحنا يا ربنا علما وعملا وقربا يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم أكرمنا ولا تهنا وأعطنا ولا تحرمنا وآثرنا ولا تؤثر علينا وأرضنا وارض عنا يا كريم. Okay, so now we last looked at the request of the Hawariyun. They asked for a table spread for food to be sent down from the sky, and Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu wasalam first forbade them from making such a request, but then they clarified their intention, and that when he saw that they had a sincere intention in this, he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, turned to Allah, and he said, قال عيسى ابن مريم اللهم ربنا أنزل علينا مائدة من السماء تكون لنا عيدا لأولنا وآخرنا وآية منك وارزقنا وأنت خير الرازقين. Wow. Okay, so Sayyidina Isa turned to Allah and he said, قال عيسى ابن مريم, again Isa ibn Maryam, he said, to show that he's not God. He himself turned to God. He himself asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if he was God, would he not just will it into existence himself, as the nature of a perfect being, as God is, he should be able to do this. So it shows neither him nor his mother are divine. He said, Allahumma. So this meme at the end of the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a replacement for the Ya. When you say Ya Allah, right? When you call on Allah like that. So, but you don't combine them. You can't say Ya Allahumma. It's Ya Allah or Allahumma. And then Rabbana. So usually in du'as, it's you use one or the other. Allahumma, like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to say, Allahumma atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana wa qina adhab an-nar. That's one narration that we have from him. Oh Allah, give us tremendous great good in this life and tremendous great good in the next life, and protect us from the torment of the fire. And in the same dua Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, where he said, Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana waqina adhab an-nar. But here Sayyidina Isa combined both to show, to express his neediness to God, how much he's imploring. So it's not like the previous miracles he was given. It's not like the previous miracles Sayyidina Isa was given were insufficient. No, they were more than enough. But as a slave turning to God, especially making a big request like this, that ideally they should have just said, we believe, and that's it. But because they made the request, so he said, okay, I will ask. So he's imploring Allah. So he's using the name, the supreme name of Allah, the supreme king, to show there's iman in him. And Rabbana, you our loving, caring, dear Lord, you're always good and kind to us. Anzil alayna, send down upon us. And you can see there's this humility by combining Allahumma and Rabbana, and they use the word yunazzil with the tashdid, which is a different form of the word send down. There's more power, and there's various meanings implied with that. But he used another version of it, anzil, send down. It's not, you just compare anzil to nazzil. Right? It's just the sound is different, so it indicates the meaning in nazzil is stronger. So he uses humility. Anzil alayna, send down upon us a ma'idatan, a tremendous table spread, a tremendous table spread of food from the sky. So it shows it's not going to be something normal. They need something tremendous and fantastic from the sky. Not normal food, and they want to see and witness it come down from the sky. So it increases their faith, especially because it will be exactly what they requested. تكون لنا عيدا لأولنا وآخرنا وآية منك. So for it to be, so it will be a feast. I'll explain this for the first of us and the last of us, and as a sign. So this Ma'idah will be two things: Eid and a Ma'idah. So Ma'idah and the ayah. So the word Eid is from Ada Ya'ud, something to return, and some of the ulama have interpreted this as a farahan, as a source of joy, that it will be a great joy for us. So although it will be a source of joy, the food coming down, they'll eat, they'll find the barakah of it, the iman will be strengthened, they'll still have seen the miracle, they can be witnesses, to seeing the miracle. So it will be a source of joy, but he's expressed it as though it will be joy itself. Eidan. So that's one way of interpreting Eid. So it comes from the word, as I said, to return Ada, because they say that like in the year, the two Eids, they return every year. Those 2 days are the days of Eid every year. And another interpretation is, which, as he's translated here, is for it to be a feast for us. Because on those days, people are merry, and what do people do generally when they're happy? They eat together, right? They share food. And here, obviously, it will be a feast for them, food from either from paradise or food that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends on especially for them. Eidan li awwalina wa akhirina, for the first of us and the last of us. So, and everyone in between, it's implied. So is there sufficient food for all of them, however many there were and however many came? There are various narrations, which I'm not gonna go into, as Imam Ibn Kathir and Sayyid Tantawi and others. Firstly, these narrations don't really have a strong basis, so it's best to leave it with the wording of the Quran. And as Imam al-Tabari says, not knowing what, it won't do anything different to our iman beyond what the verse is actually saying. There are the lessons in there. So whether they got given fish or whether it was something else, it doesn't matter, right? So we won't to the actual food. So it's a feast or a source of great joy for all of us. And وَآيَةً minka, and a tremendous ayah, a tremendous sign of your power, your care, your generosity. All of these things we can infer and understand from this Ma'idah coming down, and also the truth of His words in His promise. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He does say He will send it, and also that the promise that prophets gave about paradise, that there's foods, that there's things in paradise no eye has seen, no ear has heard of, and things that haven't even occurred to the mind of any human. So so this is it. It would confirm that. وَرُزُقْنَا. And so here, look at it. He asked for the table spread, and as Imam al-Razi says, the focus is that it's a source of joy for them, if you translate it as joy, because that they know that their dua has been answered, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with them, supporting them, He's answered their supplication. So that would bring them joy. And for all of them, the first of them and the last of them. And it's a sign, a sign that shows His power, and He increases their faith. And then so they first mentioned that we want to eat from it, and then they mentioned the other benefits. So but the way Sayyidina Isa expressed it is that eating isn't the main goal of it, right? That they want the other religious and spiritual benefits before the physical benefit of eating the food. They expressed it, we want to eat the food, and we want to, so they wanted their faith increase, so they can be, they could know that, say, Jesus is true, and all of these things. So the order is reversed to show us what should we prioritize? The akhirah, just like Jesus has. And the religious benefits you get from these things are worth much more than, something physical. So then he says, وَرْزُقْنَا, and provide for us. Provide. Rizq generally means something perpetual, but provide for us. There is a position that said that the food came down for a number of days, So that's where the perpetuity would be. But then he says, provide for us, and then straight away he goes from the blessing, from min al-ni'mati ila al-mun'im, as Imam al-Razi puts it. That he does mention the blessing, but then he goes back to focusing on the mun'im. The most important thing here, Allah, you gave us this blessing. He said, وَارْزُقْنَا وَأَنْتَ خَيْرُ الرَّازِقِينَ, and you are the best of anyone that provides and gives food and drink. Anyone that's ever done this, you are the best of them, because Allah creates it and gives it. Others just have what Allah has given and they pass it on, but Allah creates it and gives it, right? And He's better than everyone in every single way, subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَأَنْتَ خَيْرُ الرَّازِقِينَ. So he praised Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he taught them focus on God. And these are things you can really inspirational. Focus on God, and any benefit you'll get in the dunya, great, but Allah is the most important thing. So then he says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قال الله, Allah answered, Allah said, إني منزلها عليكم فمن يكفر بعد منكم فإني أعذبه عذابا لا أعذبه أحدا من العالمين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answered, right, I am sending it down to you, but whoever among you denies afterwards will be subjected to a torment I have never inflicted on anyone of my creation. So so here he said, قال الله, Allah the Supreme King, He Himself now said, إني منزلها عليكم, or in another qira'ah, munziluha, I will send it tremendously, or munazziluha, another great way. Munazzil indicates there's a lot, right? Also, when they asked هل يستطيع ربك أن ينزل, they wanted a lot. So there's He will send a lot, and He'll send it quickly. From the meaning we can get from munzil, and alaykum, it will come to you, right? Alay, from over you, from above down to you. فَمَنْ يَكْفُرْ, right? So because it's a tremendous sign, believe in it and believe in me. Believe that I am your true Lord and keep your faith firm, and those who do so will be rewarded. And those who don't, فَمَنْ يَكْفُرْ, whoever disbelieves ba'du, after this, at any point now, whether it's immediate or later, at any point now after seeing something like this, because it's such a tremendous miracle, an exact miracle they requested, that's exactly how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will do it. فَإِنِّي أُعَذِّبُ مِنْكُمْ, from amongst you, because they're the ones who have actually witnessed the miracle. فَإِنِّي أُعَذِّبُهُ عَذَابًا لَا أُعَذِّبُهُ أَحَدًا مِنَ الْعَالَمِينَ. So the way you could translate this is, I will punish him, I will subject him to a torment, such a heinous torment that no one else has been punished with the like of it from al-alameen. Al-alameen meaning either the people of their time, or actually the stronger position here is how it's been translated, from anyone. So I will punish you, whoever disbelieves in it, I will punish him with such a punishment that no one else has been punished with ever from the men and jinn. Just anyone, right? Meaning that this tremendous miracle is coming to you. Recognize its worth, recognize this blessing that I'm giving to you, and do not disbelieve, right? Recognize this. So there's a couple of questions here. Were they believers? And Imam al-Zamakhshari, he says no, they weren't believers, they had doubts. Not doubts as in like some people think, oh, this question comes to your mind and they just don't feel at ease until they have it answered. Not that doubt, but rather, it's like an agnostic has a doubt, in the sense that, like I don't know if it's true, I don't know if it can be true, that kind of thing. So they were disbelievers, according to Imam al-Zamakhshari. That's one position. There is another position, and which is so Zamakhshari said, that's why it said Isa told them off, like, ittaqullah, fear Allah, like, don't ask for this, right? But the stronger position is that no, and this is what the majority of the scholars, of Tafsir said, that yes, they were believers, right? They were believers. Firstly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described them as al-hawariyun, and as I said, the root word being of intense purity and whiteness. So their faith was firm and strong, and then they said that that their request, هل يستطيع ربك, will your Lord respond, or can you ask your Lord? This isn't something that would take anyone out of Islam, right? It doesn't literally mean is he able to, right? As in they were questioning his power. No, that wasn't the case. And it doesn't take someone out of Islam. Rather, it was just them trying to get a request fulfilled. So especially with the valid reasons that they gave. And so this is like, as I said, this is like the request of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, asking to be shown how the dead are brought to life. And and the question to negate what Zamakhshari said, that they had doubts because they were asking, is he able to? No, they weren't asking about ability, they were asking about the action. Will he do this? Not is he capable of doing so. So for these reasons, and also that the word istita'a in the verse can be interpreted to mean willingness, right? Ta'a, or to obey, but here we'll translate it as willingness. So for these reasons, they said they were believers. There's another question is, did the Ma'idah come down then? So some of the scholars like Imam Hassan al-Basri and others said, no, it didn't come down. And why? Because there's a narration that said that after this last verse came down about the punishment for anyone who disbelieves, they said, no, we believe that's enough. They don't want to put themselves in a situation where it does come down, they do eat from it, and then someone disbelieves and then getting subjected to the worst punishment ever. So they said no. That's a weaker position. The stronger position is that yes, it did come down. There's a narration from the Sahabi Ammar ibn Yasir. So technically it's him saying it, but you could say, where did he hear it from? He must have heard it from the Prophet, saying that it did come down. There was bread and meat, and they were told to not store any of it and not leave any of it, finish it, and don't leave anything for the next day, but they did. And then the narration says that they were disfigured, their forms were disfigured. Allahu A'lam about that narration. Allahu A'lam. Yeah. But what we do know is that, so the stronger position is that it did come down, and what happened beyond that, whether they believed and disbelieved, the verse doesn't talk about it. So Allah knows best. And okay, so and knowing the details of the type of food doesn't really benefit us. Okay, so let's move on here now, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes back to the topic of the Day of Judgment, because we're following that same thread, the Day of Judgment, where he addresses Jesus alayhi salatu wasalam. وَإِذْ قَالَ اللَّهُ يَا عِيسَى ابْنَ مَرْيَمَ, again making it clear on the Day of Judgment that he's not God's son, he's a son of Maryam. أنت قلت للناس اتخذوني وأمي إلهين من دون الله قال سبحانك ما يكون لي أن أقول ما ليس لي بحق. And on Judgment Day, Allah will say, O Jesus, son of Mary, did you say to people, now he is translated as, did you ever ask the people to worship you and your mother as gods besides Allah? He will answer, glory be to you. How could I ever say what I had no right to say? He wouldn't. He's a slave of God. So let's just look at this. Ittakhidhu. I've touched on this a number of times. The pattern is stuff. No, the ifti'al here. The pattern here is taf'ala. No. اتخذ. Actually, the word itself actually indicates takalluf, forcing something to be what it's not, right? So something has a particular purpose, a role, and then forcing it to be another thing which is not suited to be. So here it's taking two created beings who will one day die and treating them as though they're divine, they're gods, right? So that's how it's understood. It says Allah the Supreme King will say to Jesus, O Jesus, son of Mary, Anta qulta, was it you who said? That's how you understand it. Anta qulta, was it you who said this? Or was it someone else? And so why ask him? Once again, the purpose of the question here is not to get information from Jesus. Rather, is to expose and humiliate those who lied about the divinity of Jesus. They said he's divine. That's a lie. And so to expose them and to make them sweat a bit, right? They're going to be have a ton of anxiety about actually getting asked about this eventually. But the case is cleared. He asked Jesus, did you say this or was it someone else? Until telling Nasi, did you say to people, treat me and my mother, or take me and my mother as deities, as gods besides Allah? Min dunillah. Allah uses this expression called Allah min dunillah, from below God. So instead of saying besides God, it's always expressed as below God, below Allah, because everyone's below Allah in rank, right? Subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's the perfect Lord, absolutely perfect creator. So did you say, was it you who said this? And no, he didn't. He said قال سبحانك. So look at the way he expressed it. He says, so it's saying, you're absolutely free of any sort of blemish and fault or flaw. Meaning, how could I say this, right? How could there be gods besides you? That would be a flaw. No, you are the one and only God. From sabaha, to go far, right? When traveling, to go far. I believe fast is also an indication. Anyway, so, and then from sabaha, the part in fa'ala is used. Usabbihuka, and then from there it go to tasbihan, and it's saying usabbihuka or tasbihaka. So from sabaha, the root word, to the first form sabaha, he uses the next one, an emphasized one, fa'ala. So usabbihuka, I am saying that you're beyond imperfections. But then instead of just using the verb, he uses the masdar, the verbal noun, tasbihaka, and then he changes it to fu'lan, which indicates the very highest and strongest way of indicating that meaning. So subhanaka, in the most emphatic way possible, Jesus negates this. You are completely devoid of any sort of imperfection. Subhanaka, ma yakunu li. And this ma yakunu li, this lam al-juhud, this is usually gives the meaning of absolutely having no right whatsoever. I have absolutely no right whatsoever. An aqula ma laysa li bihaq. I have no right whatsoever to say what it's impossible. I cannot, I would never say what I have no right to say. That's probably better, right? How could I ever say what I have no right to say? And so he's negated it. He's already denied this because he didn't do it. He didn't say it. So guess who's going to be in trouble, right? And those who falsely made these claims. So then he says, "In kuntu qultuhu faqad alimta." That if I had said such a thing, then faqad, very strong way after the condition from if, faqad, then if I had said it, then truly without a doubt, in the most supreme way, you've known it. You know it. Your knowledge is perfect. تعلم ما في نفسي ولا أعلم ما في نفسك. You know what's in my heart or my soul, you could say. You know what's within me. Every single thing I know, you know it. Right? All of my knowledge and everything I've done, my memories, everything, you contain full knowledge of all of that. وَلَا أَعْلَمُ مَا فِي نَفْسِكَ, and I don't know what you know, what's in you, right? Literally, that although Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't have a body like us, subhanahu wa ta'ala, so He says, you know what's in me, but I do not know what's in you. Your knowledge is perfect and beyond any limits, right? Innaka, nominal sentence with inna, this is fixed, firm reality here. Innaka anta, indeed you alone, allamul ghuyub, are the one who knows all of the things unseen. We talked about this a couple of sessions before this, where we said the ghuyub, the things that are beyond the five senses, is the ghaib, and there are things you can figure out and things you'll never figure out, and you can only be told by someone who knows them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they can only be known through the means of revelation. And Allah is the Allam, not just the Alim, the Allam, the one who knows in the most emphatic, complete, perfect way of all of the things that are deeply hidden in the unseen. So what about the matters that were open and openly discussed and things that are known to humanity? Of course He knows them in the best way, right? Innaka anta allamul ghuyub. And it's a very, very powerful, emphatic way of saying, negating the knowledge of, negating him having said that, alayhi salatu wasalam, and saying that to Allah that you have all knowledge, you know best, right? So we look next time. We'll stop it here, and we look next time at the response of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we'll conclude the surah. There's only 4 more verses, and inshallah ta'ala we'll conclude the surah. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam, walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.